Hey, it's Kelly with your A1 Extra presented by Westminster Canterbury. After a 10-year bout, Virginia's high school female wrestlers finally have their own state title. Zach Joachim has the story.
Virginia has never had a separate state championship wrestling meet for girls. It was Saturday at Unity Reed High in Manassas, and it's the culmination of what's a decade-plus long process of working to get girls wrestling sanctioned in Virginia. They're on the threshold of the participation numbers they need for it to be a totally separate sport, and they're hoping to pass that next year, but this past year was the very first time that girls have an opportunity to win their own state championship. So as it stands, girls still wrestle on the same team as boys in Virginia, but as it stood before, they had to compete against boys to win a state title. But on Saturday, it was the first ever time that girls got to meet and compete against one another to win state wrestling titles in Virginia. There were 284 girls there, and we had 3 local wrestlers win individual state championships. There were a lot of tears. Girls who grew up loving the sport but not having the same opportunities to achieve the same things in it that boys did. Virginia is part of what is a national push right now. It's one of, if not the fastest growing high school sports in the country, and it's sanctioned in more than 30 states now. A lot of those have sanctioned since 2018. Elise Davis is a senior from Thomas Dale who won a state championship, and she had been in a significant car accident 19 months ago, suffered traumatic brain damage, and it was a long road to recovery for her, and 19 months after that accident, she was a state champion. And she cried a lot, her mom cried a lot, her coaches cried. Her mom was the loudest voice in the gym cheering her on during that match, and you could see what it meant to these girls, especially after a decade plus of fighting for the right to be a state champion, to finally have that title in a sport that they've loved much of their lives and either grew up seeing siblings compete in, whether they be brothers or sisters. You know, this is a point that they'd worked toward for a long time. And so you really saw the emotions, and what struck me, I think, was the level of expertise even in young competitors. I think it made you realize how much of their lives these girls have committed to wrestling, and therefore how much it meant to them to be able to call themselves state champions.
All right, that's it. Make sure you log on to richmond.com/subscribe for more reporting and stories of Richmond and Central Virginia. And remember to follow along on social at RTD News. We'll see you next week for another A1 Extra presented by Westminster Canterbury.